7 straight days of severe weather are lining up across the United States starting today. 12 million people are sitting inside a live tornado risk zone as I speak to you. Baseball-sized hail is on the table today for 1.38 million people in Texas and Oklahoma. Most folks out there have no idea what is lining up from the Rockies to the East Coast. This is not a one-and-done storm. This is our loading severe weather engine firing daily. A shifting, unstable jet stream keeps storm fuel loaded and ready to fire every single afternoon. Tornadoes, baseball-sized hail, and 80-mile-per-hour wind gusts are on the table starting today. Here's the kicker. This pattern will not let up through early next week at all. Burn this into your memory because the window to prepare is shorter than most people realize. Let's start with the Storm Prediction Center outlook for today, Friday, May 22nd. A slight risk of severe storms is posted for the Texas Panhandle and northwest Texas into southwest Oklahoma. That slight risk covers roughly 1.38 million people in Lubbock, Amarillo, Abilene, and Wichita Falls. The main threat there will be large to very large hail. Good grief, we mean baseball-sized. Baseball-sized hail destroys windshields, dents vehicles, and damages rooftops in seconds flat. Severe gusts of 60 to 80 miles per hour are possible once storms organize into a linear cluster. The peak wind threat for the Texas Panhandle runs from about 7 to 10 this evening Central Time. Wind spinning tighter than normal will support some strong rotating storms near Amarillo. The most likely storm type today puts damaging wind gusts as the #1 hazard. If one strong isolated storm holds together near Lubbock, very large hail is possible. If you own a vehicle anywhere near Amarillo or Lubbock today, get it under cover before late afternoon. Back east, a 2% tornado risk is already posted for the Tennessee Valley and Dixie Alley. That zone runs from Nashville and Knoxville through Birmingham and into Lexington, Kentucky. About 12 million people are sitting inside that tornado risk area heading into this Friday afternoon. Storms fire across the Tennessee Valley and Dixie Alley around midday and ramp up through late afternoon. Huntsville and Florence, Alabama are on my radar for an elevated tornado risk this afternoon. Tupelo, Mississippi sits in a zone where large hail damaging winds and an isolated tornado are possible. Near Birmingham, a large storm cluster will produce isolated damaging winds and large hail today. The peak tornado window for the Tennessee Valley runs from about 2 this afternoon to 7 tonight. Atlanta, Columbus, Mobile, and Pensacola, scattered storms today will be capable of all hazards. Drop your city in the comments and I will come back with a specific forecast for your area. I personally check every location that comes in and will get you a targeted update tonight. Now let's shift to the Central Plains because Omaha and Nebraska is to have their own storm story today. A marginal risk covers eastern Nebraska, fueled by a weak low-pressure system over South Dakota. Omaha and Lincoln, watch out between 4 and 8 this afternoon for storms with quarter-sized hail. Stronger cells could push east out of central Kansas, just outside Kansas City this evening. Here is where today's setup gets interesting, and tricky even for experts to pin down. The word of the day is pop-up storms. They can appear out of clear blue skies fast. You could be in sunny skies, and 15 minutes later, a severe storm is bearing down on you. That scenario is going to play out somewhere across this country every day for the next week. What is driving all of this is a big jet stream dip sitting right over the Rockies today. That dip pulls moisture from both the Pacific and the Gulf simultaneously, a lot of fuel. Loading that much Gulf moisture into an unstable atmosphere means denser weather every afternoon. This pattern stays in place through Sunday while the jet keeps that trough parked over the Rockies. Let's talk Saturday because this weekend is going to be another stormy one across a wide area. The Storm Prediction Center has posted a marginal risk for portions of the southern plains and southeast. 3 separate marginal zones Saturday, Texas and Panhandles, Middle Texas coast and central Georgia. That marginal footprint covers about 21.9 million people with severe wind and large hail as top threats. For the Texas and Oklahoma panhandles, easterly upslope flow will generate scattered afternoon thunderstorms. Winds spinning faster with height Saturday will support a few more organized severe cells. Along the Middle Texas coast, storms fire off the Edwards Plateau Saturday afternoon toward the coast. Cold pool organization and damaging gusts are at the top threat near Houston's northern suburbs. Saturday turns into a stormy afternoon from the Carolinas and Georgia back into Texas and Missouri. A small weather disturbance crossing Georgia Saturday afternoon could spark stronger cells. That spinning energy over Georgia and South Carolina could push winds to damaging speeds. Folks near Macon, Columbus, and Savannah in Georgia keep a heads up Saturday afternoon into evening. Charlotte, Greenville, and Spartanburg will want to keep one eye on that sky during Saturday outdoor plans. Here is some news the Deep South has been waiting on. Beneficial rainfall is finally arriving. The Euro model shows 2 to 5 inches of rain across the southern tier this week. Areas from the Deep South up through the southern Appalachian Mountains have been desperate for this. But the clips of flash flooding, a 15% slight risk is already posted today. The top flash flood concern is southwest North Carolina upstate, South Carolina, and North Georgia. Rain pushing against those Appalachian ridges squeeze out extra moisture. Mountain communities stay sharp. On Saturday, the flash flood risk shifts to Texas, Louisiana, and southern Arkansas heading northeast. Y'all drop your city below, and I will personally watch your area and respond tonight. Tennessee Valley, Texas Panhandle, Carolinas coast. Wherever you are, I want your city in the comments. Let's talk Sunday because the severe weather threat does not stop rolling when Saturday ends. A marginal risk of severe storms is posted for eastern Nebraska and eastern Iowa on Sunday. That marginal risk covers about 1.9 million people in Omaha, Lincoln, Sioux City, and Council Bluffs. A small but focused weather disturbance crossing the plains Sunday will trigger those storms. Models show dew points in the mid-50s to 60s pushing into eastern Nebraska along a warm front. That combination of building heat and spinning winds supports powerful rotating storms Sunday. Omaha, Lincoln, and Council Bluffs could see powerful rotating storms with severe hail and wind. Down in the southeast on Sunday, moderate instability and daytime heat produce scattered, strong storms. Waterline downbursts and locally severe wind are possible across the deep south on Sunday afternoon. Indianapolis could also see a line of storms Sunday that might dampen some Memorial Day weekend plans. Now here is something to pay attention to. This is where the long game gets very interesting. Those Saturday risk areas did not exist on the original Day 3 outlook, now there are 3. That tells you everything about how unpredictable these pop-up storms will be all next week. New risk areas can appear in a morning update that were not there overnight. Staying heads up matters. This is why I will post updates every day as long as this volatile pattern stays locked in. Looking into Memorial Day Monday, the pattern continues to support daily afternoon storm activity. A modest ridge begins building across the Great Plains by Monday and Tuesday, suppressing some activity. But severe weather risk stays every single day. A building ridge does not stop storms from firing. Coverage gets more isolated rather than widespread, but the threat is still there every single afternoon. The southern plains and southeast will see the most daily storm activity through early next week. Oklahoma City, Dallas, Memphis, and Little Rock, y'all are looking at repeated storm chances through Tuesday. By midweek, conditions will actually quiet down for the Midwest, Ohio Valley, and the Northeast. Let's look further out because the Day 4 through 8 outlook is where things get truly fascinating. Severe weather potential stays low Monday as a big ridge of high pressure settles in from the west. Starting Tuesday into Wednesday, a trough deeps across the Pacific Northwest. Watch this one. As that low shifts east, stronger upper-level winds will push through the mountain states. Moisture advection will spread northward across the central and northern plains as southerly flow builds. The big question is whether that western system ejects over the Rockies by mid-next week. If it does eject, we start talking about a much more widespread and more predictable severe setup. That ejecting storm would target the Great Plains and Midwest for what could be a significant event. If that system wanders around Nevada and Utah instead, we will see more daily pop-up storms. Either way, severe weather stays on the table from the southern high plains to Dixie Alley every day. Honest to goodness, this is one of the most active 7 to 10 day setups I have seen recently. Forecasters have lower than normal confidence because the jet stream keeps shifting target zones. When the jet is indecisive, severe storms can fire some places that had 0 chance hours before. I keep staring at these instability values and they keep catching me off guard every single time. Here is something that flat out caught my attention in the extended models about the tropics. The Euro model is trying to spin something up off the southeast coast this late May. That sustained moisture flow into the south keeps the storm pattern loaded and fueled up all week. Nothing to panic over yet, but the Gulf and Caribbean are worth watching heading into Memorial Day. Meanwhile, while the south gets soaked, the desert southwest is looking at little to no rainfall. That dry stretch is no surprise for May, but Ithert's with ongoing wildfire concerns still alive. Phoenix, Las Vegas, and Albuquerque, no rain relief is coming and fire weather conditions stay elevated. Do yourself a solid and make sure weather alerts are on to wake you up at night. With a nocturnal threat possible tonight across the Tennessee Valley, that phone setting could matter. Identify your shelter spot now, the lowest interior room of your home away from windows. Dale Simmons in Huntsville had no idea watch was posted until his neighbor came and knocked. Do not be Dale, check your alerts, know your shelter, and charge your phone before storms arrive. Please go knock on your older neighbor's door and make sure they are all squared away this weekend. Before we wrap up, drop your city below and tell me what your sky looks like today. If you know someone in Memphis, Nashville, or Huntsville, please send this to them right away. Here is genuine good news buried in all of this, not me softening the blow at all. The European computer model shows a solid signal for above-average rainfall across the southern tier. Areas bone dry through this spring are about to get a much-needed drought-busting drink of water. Mississippi, Alabama, and Tennessee could each see over in the next 10 days. Huge relief. Let me give you the bottom line because this active pattern deserves clarity heading into the weekend. Today, slight risk Texas Panhandle, 2% tornado-risk Tennessee Valley, marginal risk Central Plains. Saturday, marginal risk TX Panhandles, Middle Texas Coast, and Central Georgia, storms everywhere. Sunday, marginal risk Eastern Nebraska and Iowa, deep south pop-up severe risk, pop-up storm threat everywhere. Memorial Day and beyond, daily storms persist, rigid trees to calm things, and the next system arrives. The next update brings fresh model data on the western system that could reshape all of next week. Mark my words, if that system ejects over the Rockies, we'll be talking very long. Drop your city one final time. Omaha, Huntsville, Dallas, Gulf Coast, I want to know. This 7-day run of severe weather is just getting started, and the models say we are not done. Let's talk about what you should actually be doing to prepare before this afternoon arrives. First, make sure you are not driving into today's severe weather window without checking the radar first. The peak tornado window today runs from 2 to 7. Be inside during that window. In the Texas Panhandle, get vehicles under cover before late afternoon. Baseball hail is real. Charge your phone fully because power outages are possible across the South and Plains today. Carol Myers in Nashville waited until a warning to find her shelter. Do not do that. Know your shelter spot before the storm comes, not while sirens are going off overhead, plain and simple. For those on the Carolinas coast, heavy rain and gusty storms are possible throughout the afternoon today. Myrtle Beach, Wilsington, and the Outer Banks, keep a heads up for isolated strong storms this afternoon. For those planning Memorial Day cookouts, here is what you need to know for Saturday. Morning should stay quiet before afternoon heat triggers scattered storm development across the south. Your best window for outdoor Memorial Day activities will be early to mid-morning before noon on Saturday. By early afternoon, things start firing. Get your cookout done early and have a backup plan. Sandra Phelps in Tulsa learned the hard way that May storms do not wait for dinner. Get your grilling done by noon and have a shelter option ready in case afternoons fire up. Let's all talk about something that stood out when I dug into today's severe weather setup. The Nebraska marginal risk on Sunsage was not on the Day 3 map just 24 hours ago. 3 separate risk areas jumped onto Saturday's map that were blank when forecasters first issued it. That tells you this pattern will produce a surprise storms in unexpected places all week. Even areas looking quiet on the map need to stay heads up because that map changes fast. Frank Hollister in Kansas City got caught by a severe storm on a marginal risk day. A marginal risk means some threat. Never assume a low-rated day means a safe day. Let me circle back to the long-term picture one more time because this part matters most. The trough trying to develop up off the Pacific Northwest Tuesday is being watched very closely by everyone. If that feature ejects over the Rockies by Wednesday, the Great Plains lights up big. We are talking about a much more organized and far more predictable severe weather setup. That kind of system brings powerful rotating storm with their hail, damaging winds, and tornadoes. Kansas, Oklahoma, and Texas are the primary targets that system rolls east by midweek. Missouri and Arkansas would also be watching closely depending on how far that track shifts to the north. Confidence in that exact track is still low. Every update before Wednesday counts. Here's what I can tell you. This pattern is not wrapping up anytime soon at all. By Thursday and Friday of next week, a cold front could push severe weather into the East Coast. That cold front could spread severe weather risk into the eastern United States by next Friday. That is 7 to 8 days out, but the signal keeps showing up on the models. Bottom line on the extended outlook, stay flexible and check back in for updates daily. Let me talk about some of the cities that are in the thick of this all week. Now, Nashville sits in a really interesting spot right inside that 2% tornado risk zone today. Nashville is also in the zone for repeated storm chances through Memorial Day next week. Birmingham residents face today's tornado risk plus again, full of repeated afternoon storm rounds. Memphis faces the same situation, today's threat, then repeated storm chances all through Tuesday. Knoxville sits on the eastern edge of today's tornado-risk and could also see stormy conditions this evening. Dallas-Fort Worth faces an active and unpredictable severe weather stretch all week long. Tonight, storms could actually intensify as they move into the Dallas-Fort Worth area from the west. Those late-night storms near Dallas could produce an isolated wind threat and wake people up from sleep. By Saturday morning, a line of storms could be working through Shreveport and down toward Texarkana. Houston sits on the edge today, but Saturday's coastal moisture threat is worth watching into early evening. Up in Omaha, today's threat passes by evening, but Sunday brings a second round of severe storm potential. Kansas City should watch this evening for isolated large hailstorms just east of the metro. St. Louis and Springfield, Missouri are in the zone for Saturday's widespread storm activity across the board. Stay with me. At the 4-minute mark, I will show you something that stopped me cold. Stick around to the end. I have on a number that is going to flat out shock you. I want to be straight. This is the number. This is this forecast I keep coming back to. Even after 2 straight days on these models, it still stops me cold every single time. 3 separate risk areas did not exist at all on last night's Day 3 model output. 3, and Nebraska jumped onto the map this morning while most folks drank their coffee. When forecasters see that kind of rapid escalation, y'all, that is when they really pay attention. Not here to ruin your weekend, I am here to make sure you have a Monday. The difference between people who make it through fine and those who don't is almost always preparation. Not luck, not location, preparation. The folks who had a plan walked away fine every single time. Earl in Huntsville tracks every update. He got caught in 2011 without any plan at all. He said those 7 minutes between the first warning and the tornado hitting felt like 7 seconds. Earl now has shelter marked, phone charged, and family ready before any tornado watch drops. Remember Earl from Huntsville? He texted this morning, already completely sheltered up. Radar is on, family's inside, car in the garage. That is exactly how you do it. That right there is the difference between a close call and a story you never get to tell. Here is the part of this forecast I think nobody is talking about enough today. While everyone watches today and Saturday, Monday is quietly setting up in the background. When that Pacific trough makes its move by Wednesday or Thursday, the whole map could flip. Here's what blew me away when I pulled up this morning's models, not exaggerating at all. The instability values for mid-next week across these southern plains are not supposed to be this high. We are talking storm energy levels that normally signal a late June or early July setup. They are sitting right on that ejecting trough track. If those two things meet, game on. Baton Rouge and New Orleans need to Saturday's flash flood risk as moisture trains through. Jackson, Mississippi is in the heart of this weekend's activity and could see multiple rounds. Pensacola and Mobile watch tonight's storm timing as clusters push northeast off the Gulf Coast. Evansville and Terre Haute could see a line of storms late Saturday that produces gusty wind. Louisville is in that pop-up risk zone Saturday and could see a storm spin up fast. Columbus and Cincinnati are watching Saturday's pattern with an isolated wind and hail threat by evening. Sioux Falls and Rapid City are on the northern fringe of this moisture plume this weekend. Wichita and Dodge City are right in the instability axis and need to stay heads up through Sunday. Y'all, with this much rain coming, I want to say this once. Hear me clearly on this. Turn around, don't drown. 6 inches of moving water can knock a full-grown adult right down. 12 inches of water can carry away a vehicle. No destination is worth that risk. More people die in flash flooding each year than from tornadoes. That is a fact, no joke. If water is flowing across that road, please just find another route, plain and simple. Now here is a piece of this forecast that I genuinely cannot stress enough, especially for tonight. Tonight across the Tennessee Valley, the worst of this event hits while your family is asleep. Nighttime tornadoes are significantly more deadly than daytime ones. You cannot see a wall cloud at midnight. A warning may go off while your family sleeps and your shelter window shrinks to nothing. You must have alerts that will physically wake your family up tonight. That is non-negotiable. Whether radio or phone on full volume, you have to have a wake-up system tonight. Let me explain why the Tennessee Valley is so vulnerable, even on a lower-end setup like today. Upper-level winds and warm, moist Gulf air are combining to give storms extra spin today. The more spin energy in those upper winds, the more dangerous a storm gets when it forms. Today is not a classic outbreak, but sneaky setups are often the most dangerous ones. Forecasters at the Storm Prediction Center flagged the timing mismatch as the key tricky element today. That thunderstorm band crossing eastern Mississippi could be ill-timed and suppress the afternoon risk. But if it clears out fast enough, the atmosphere could rapidly destabilize and produce more than expected. That is the difference between a 2% tornado risk staying quiet and a 2% risk turning very ugly. Back to those opening numbers. 7 days, 12 million in a tornado zone, 1.38 million under hail. Those numbers are not going down. If anything, they go up with every new outlook issued. Every day brings another set of cities, it's another set of decisions to make.